Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Another crazy customer wandered into our OP in the first story, so get ready. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Shirtless customer tries to punch me. I work in a small retail store, so it's roughly 5 minutes to closing. It's just me and my two coworkers left, Holly and Emily. The store was empty, Holly was in the washroom, and it was just me and Emily in the store. I spot this guy coming through the lot and towards our door, already begging to myself that he not come in. Why? Because he wasn't wearing a shirt and looked super shifty. I'm not comfortable with a shirtless man in our store with our food products. He comes in, and before I can ask him about his shirt, he grabs a product from a display by the door and starts unwrapping it. That's when I ask him, still trying to be polite, if he's going to pay for that first. Sorry, but I'm not letting someone open a product before paying for it, especially if it's a shifty-looking guy like this. That's when crap hits the fan. He drops the product and starts to raise his voice and swear at me. I'm very, very bad at remembering dialogue word for word, even just after an incident, so I'll do my best. Him. I'm barely in your store and you're already going, "Hey, F you, what the F are you doing?" Even though he started swearing at me, I still tried to stay calm. Again, I'm just not a confrontational person. I pointed out that he's not wearing a shirt, that it's uncomfortable for us, and he's opening product that he hasn't paid for and isn't allowed to do that. It's seriously a blur to me, the rest of what he said. I only know that he was screaming and cursing at me as he came towards the counter. Once he started yelling and cursing more, I put my foot down and told him he was done and had to leave. At this, he actually stepped behind the counter and into the staff area and tried to get in my face. Snot-nosed and yelling. He wasn't directly in my face and social distanced enough, which probably isn't important right now. He wasn't wearing a mask, but I was. He actually raised his right hand and drew his arm back with intent to punch me in the face. He just kept going, "You know what? You know what?" The way a guy puffs his chest to look tough and intimidating. He didn't hit me, though, and put his arm down before he could actually try. I can't explain it really, but I wasn't scared at all. I don't know if it was the adrenaline or just me thinking that this guy couldn't be stupid enough to actually hit me, but I don't think I flinched when he raised his arm. All I remember yelling at him was, get out now," and pointing to the door. At that, he started grabbing a few of our product bins, throwing it and products on the floor, but he finally turned away to leave. Before he left, though, he punched a sign we have by the door. After that, Emily immediately went to get the keys and lock up early. No other customers were in the store. We got our manager on the phone, and per their recommendation, we called the non-emergency line. She also asked Greg to swing back our way just to make sure we're okay. He was nearby, thankfully. I was on hold with non-emergency for 20 minutes, literally by the time Greg arrived and I explained what happened. Sadly, they couldn't actually file an official report with a case number unless we were filing for, damages or loss of product, which I'm not sure if we want to do since he did only knock over 2 bins and we're not sure if it's worth it. We just didn't want to go through or clean everything up, then just go home. Holly could hear me yelling all the way from the washroom, and Emily was just frozen and in shock. I'm sure if she tried to reach the phone, it wouldn't have been smart because the phone was actually right by us as the man was getting in my face. I think because I knew Greg wasn't here and it was just us 3 ladies, maybe I was more bold and confrontational, but I also knew that I couldn't just walk out of the store because I wasn't about to abandon Emily to this crazy guy. Anyway, that's what happened to me today, and I'm feeling better just getting it out of my system. We've got CCTV recording in the store, so we can probably get his face. I hope we never see that guy again. And our second story. Got $40,000 for accidentally telling my secret to the salon gossip. I worked at a chain salon in the US for minimum wage plus tips. We got paid on a sliding scale. The more you added services, the more your hourly pay. Then for back to school, we started offering $10 haircuts. It's dumb to offer a big discount on back to school because that's when everyone needs a haircut, but whatever. Except to advertise this sale, we had to stand on a rickety step stool and hang a 10-foot-long, 3-foot-wide banner off the roof of our store. The step stool alone made it a dangerous task, but on top of it, the sidewalk was uneven. Our manager insisted we do twice a day, open and close, in case someone steals the banner, because certainly someone would want to steal a banner with our logo that says $10 haircuts. It was annoying, but I was looking forward to my next paycheck. I had a high service dollar per hour, which should have meant a bigger hourly pay and paycheck, except it didn't. That $7 haircut discount, it was coming out of our final service dollar calculations, and we ended up making significantly less than usual. I'd worked there for years, and this was the smallest back-to-school paycheck I'd ever seen. I went in the next day and was PO'd. That morning, a coworker, who was a total brown nose and gossip, and I were outside setting up the banner. It was my turn to stand on the rickety step stool, and I said I was glad this will be the last time I ever do this. I was fully prepared to make a joke about how I was going to fall and crack my head open when the petty revenge idea came into my mind, and I swiftly executed. When she asked why, I told her not to tell anyone, but that I'd accepted a job at another salon with a set schedule, higher commission, and $5 more an hour. I said I'd planned on putting in my 2 weeks, but they needed me to start sooner, so I was going to work the weekend and not come back. After reiterating she could not tell anyone, especially not our boss, she agreed. I left early that day, and on my next shift, my boss pulled me into her office. She said that she'd heard a rumor that I was leaving to work at a different salon. I told her I had a much better offer elsewhere, but if she could match that, I'd love to stay. She had to put a call into our district leader about the raise, but said I could work with a set schedule starting the following week. I was consistently ranked number 2 in sales for our store and the district, so the DL approved the raise and I stayed there another 5 years, which means I got an additional $39,000 in pay for accidentally telling the salon gossip my secret. I also got 20% commission on $500 to $1,000 a week in product sales. Bonus revenge. I also started printing out my service sales slip from the day before at the beginning of every shift so that when payroll readjusted the paychecks to include coupons, I could pull up my record and dispute it. According to payroll, there was nothing they could do about it. A few months after I left, a different employee in another state filed a class action lawsuit, and I got a letter asking if I wanted to be a part of it. I accepted, and the lawyer loved receiving 5 years worth of documentation, emails from corporate and payroll, etc. They had to go back through all of my paychecks and compensate me for the difference. 19 cents an hour here, 30 cents an hour there, added up to a lot. Despite the fact that the settlement was split with a lot of people, I got $10K from that in addition to my adjusted pay, which is around half the settlement amount. Weaponized gossip. I love it. Also proud of you for your contribution to the war against wage theft. And our last story. America is indeed a lawful country, which is exactly why you're fired and no more Icicle money for you. Traveled to the States on a business trip last year. It was a long haul, a total of 20 hours, including layover in Tokyo. Quite tired by the time I got off the plane. The driver that was supposed to pick me up as part of the hotel package went on a clockwork countdown, sending me messages about, "Your plane landed. If you don't come out in 1 hour, I'm entitled to leave," and bombarded me with texts and phone calls. I'm not allowed to answer calls at immigration, so I didn't pick up, but I didn't reply to him with a text message. After picking me up, he went on a rant about he had to wait for my flight to arrive for 2 hours. By the way, my flight was on time. The parking lot is a effing daylight robbery. I'm wrong for not getting out earlier. I was late, and this entire trip will not even give him enough money to buy an Icicle. He even had the guts to lecture me. A new immigrant like yourself should always play by the rules. This ain't your country anymore. We do things differently here. This went on for the entire trip. I was hungry, I was tired, I was annoyed. I tried to stop the conversation by giving no reply, but he'll force me a reply by directly addressing me. To say I was pissed is an understatement. First thing I did when I left the city 2 days later was giving him a 3 out of 10 review on the website, 3 stars for actually completing the trip. Didn't give him a bad review on that same day because I figured he's a bit psychotic and I don't want him to show up at my hotel lobby with an assault rifle or something. Next day, I got a call from an unknown number. First thing he said after I picked up, which if we translate into English would be, "I F your mother." Who's this? I was puzzled, also clueless. Forgot about the whole incident already. Who's this? I'll tell you who this is, you little F. I F your mother. You effing... I hung up. Still quite clueless who that was. About an hour later, I get a long text which translates to, Due to your dishonesty and defaming speech, I have hired a lawyer to sue you, which will include late fees I was supposed to charge you on that day. You take care of yourself. America is a country of trust and honesty, not a place where a man without ethics like you can do whatever you please. Okay, so it really was him after all. After a bit of digging, I replied, I don't know who you are, I don't know what your problems are, but if you're raising concerns about past services you provide me, then please be reminded that the Consumer Fairness Act of 2016 under FTC protects my rights for a negative review. America is indeed a lawful country, something which I can attest to when I first arrived back in 2009. Also, please cease all verbal, written, and indirect communication with me. Your action is now a form of harassment. Then I took a screenshot of his text and sent it to the website. Several days later, they apologized and told me he's not their direct employee, but was hired by a local cab company. Nevertheless, they'd fired him already. I was still kind of pissed to this day, not because of what he did, but because of the website's negligence, which allowed something like this to happen. Customer reviews were supposed to be anonymous, and the drivers shouldn't have my personal information after the closing of contract. My guess is that I was a bit specific on that review, and his boss figured out who I was talking about and got pissed at him. Doing so unknowingly, leaked who wrote the review in the process, or he did it on purpose without thinking much about the consequences. But still, it shouldn't have happened in the first place, which is why I also stopped using the website's cab service. Good job. You could have just saved someone from being physically assaulted by a mental patient. Thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.